Hi there. This is a little video that's going to demonstrate the fact that Midi timing in my system does not change according to the audio buffer settings at all. So I just need to explain. I'm using an external metronome here that's got nothing to do with Studio One at all. It's a metronome that's used. It's a Boss metronome and it's set for 120 beats per minute, and it's feeding into a device called an Akai ME35T, which is an audio to MIDI converter. It's a device that picks up audio signals and generates MIDI note ons. It's used for triggering samplers and stuff like that from drum mics. I've set all the thresholds and everything nicely so that the pulses from the metronome basically are not falsely triggering or anything like that. Up here, I've got no input quantizing whatsoever. We'll just come into my options and you'll see that I'm set here for 32 samples, and I'm now going to start recording, and I'm going to start up the metronome. I'll turn the metronome click off because it's not really necessary, but you can see the MIDI notes are being recorded there, and I'll stop that now. Now, these notes, I do have to just slide the event back slightly so that they're all, I'm going to just line up the first note to be on the grid, and that's it. And then I'm going to, and then we'll have a look at all the others. So I'll just pause while I'm doing that. So here's how it looks. All I've done is line up this first note here onto a grid line, and I haven't changed anything else at all. And as you can see up here, the notes are all on the grid, and we can pull this out here if you like, and you'll see that all of these notes are very accurately recorded, and the timing is excellent. We can just go through this if you like, but you can see that they're all spot on there. Look at that, amazing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase that event, and I'm going to come up here and go into my options, and I don't know what's happened there, but anyway, I'm going to switch to the control panel, and I'm going to dial up, I'll even dial up 2048 here, which is a big setting, and we'll set that. We'll just double check that to make sure that it's still there. Yes, it is. And now I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to put this thing into record, and it's still on no input quantizing. I'm going to start up recording, and I'm just going to fire off the metronome. You can't hear this because the metronome is basically going into the converter. So we stop that now, and I'll just quickly, what I actually do, by the way, is just grab these notes like this and just extend them out a bit so that they're a bit more visible. I'll just pause while I line this up. Okay, so all I've done once again is just drag this event to the left so that the first note here is on a grid line. That's it. There was no input quantizing, and once again, even with a buffer setting of 2048, if we pull this out, you'll see that my MIDI note timing is absolutely spot on all the way through. I'll just show you here. There is no change whatsoever. So on my system, it just goes to show that it's irrelevant in terms of the audio buffer settings do not impact my MIDI timing in any way. I suspect that it's got something to do with the fact that I'm running a PCI slot card, USB card in a PCI slot, and it's the only thing. There's 4 slots in there, and I've only got one being used feeding my Steinberg Midix 8 interface. And I believe that perhaps that's part of the reason. But anyway, there it is, and it just goes to show that on my system anyway, audio buffer settings do not impact, and that includes even if I've got severe plugins working. If I've got a big session and I've got audio plugins really pushing the CPU, the same thing applies. The MIDI timing, now this MIDI timing, these MIDI tracks would be feeding external instruments in my case, so I'd be sending out to all these instruments here. This has got nothing to do with virtual instruments in Studio One. This is just purely external MIDI hardware. So these notes would trigger everything perfectly externally. And even if the audio side is under severe pressure, CPU-wise, my MIDI timing does not falter. It's rock solid and it's perfect. Thank you.